Brasov is a municipality in Romania consisting of the component localities of Brasov and Poiana Brasov. It has a population of 253,200 inhabitants. It is located in the center of Romania, 161 kilometers from Bucharest, in the Brasov Depression. It is located at an average altitude of 625 m in the inner curvature of the Carpathians. Brasov is visited annually by 550,000 tourists. The central location within the country that Brasov enjoys makes it an important starting point for other destinations for tourists from the country and abroad. The city of Brasov has a lot of hotels and goose houses of different categories, totaling more than 5,000 places to stay. Wild animals are rare, living secluded in the surrounding forests. Tourists who venture into them are warned that they may encounter bears, wolves, or foxes. Mount Tampa is declared a nature reserve that protects several species of rare and endemic plants. Brasov is the only city in the world that includes in its administrative territory a nature reserve, the Tampa Mountain, and a mountain peak, the Post of Eru. The best view of the city can be obtained from the top of the Tampa Mountain with an altitude of 960 meters, which can be reached by cable car or on foot. Brasov architecture is specific, each house having its own picturesqueness. The constructions were erected, over time, according to well-established urban planning principles imposed by the geographical conditions of Brasov. Thus, the houses in the citadel lean on each other, while those in the outer districts are more spread out. Architectural styles vary from pre-Romantic, Romanesque, Gothic, Classical, Renaissance to Baroque, Viennese Rococo, Neo-Renaissance, Neo-Baroque, Art Nouveau, Brancuban, and Modern. In the municipality, the authorities have started an extensive process of renovating the old monuments and transforming them into museum points, mostly completed. On April 21, 1689, a great fire destroyed the fortress. Few buildings remain untouched. Following this calamity, the Brasov authorities decide to ban the construction of wooden houses. The restoration of the city lasted more than a century, during which it changed the architectural appearance of the facades.
da bir animale nu.
In 1968, the first edition of the Golden Stag International Festival takes place. Serbal d'Or is a traditional Brasov festival, which gathers young talents and international values on its stage. The festival was organized at the express desire of the Romanian government, which wanted to demonstrate to the West that Romania is an open country. For years later, Ceausescu abolished the festival. So far, 17 editions have taken place, the festival being interrupted and resumed several times over the years. Numerous celebrities have climbed the stage of the stag, some as competitors like Julio Iglesias in 1970, Enrique Iglesias, Christina Aguilera in 1997, and others to give concerts like Charles Aznavour, Cliff Richard, Dalida, Josephine Baker, Rita Pavone, Patricia Koss, Kenny Rogers, Boy George, Ray Charles, Kylie Minogue, Diana Ross, Via Con Dios, Toto Cutano, Jerry Lee Lewis, Pink, Kelly Family, Ricky Martin. In Brasov, summer lasts about 50 days, and winter lasts about 90 days. The climate has a temperate continental characteristic, i.e. more humid and cooler in the mountain areas, with relatively low precipitation and slightly low temperatures in the depression. The usual summer temperature is between 22 and 27 degrees Celsius, and the winter temperature between -18 and -2 degrees Celsius. Almost all winter sports can be practiced in this resort. The snow layer suitable for skiing lasts about 71 days in Brasov. Air humidity has average annual values of 75%. Until the 13th century of our era, no document mentions Brasov. However, there is a continuous habitation, especially in the area of Shey or Brasoveki. Initially, Brasov consisted of the Brasov citadel and the 3 suburbs outside the walls of the citadel. Shey, inhabited by Romanians, Brasoveki, inhabited mostly by Saxon peasants, and Blimana, inhabited by Hungarians. According to Dragos Moldovanu's study, the name of the city of Brasov comes from the name of the local river Barsa, a name that denoted the piece of wood that connected, in ancient plows, the plowshare and the plow. Later taken over and transformed by the Slavs in Barsov, it finally evolved into Brasov. Tradition and the chronicles of Brasov calendars consider 1203 the year in which the construction of Brasov began. However, documents and reliable sources do not confirm this date. In 1211, by a diploma of the Hungarian king Andrew II of Hungary, the Teutonic Knights are settled in the land of Barsa. It seems that they strengthened the Brasovia fortress on Tampa. The Teutonic Knights build the oldest building in the city, the Church of St. Bartholomew, a church built in the 13th century. In 1228, a monastery of Sisters of the Premonstratensian monastic order was founded in Brasov, near the later Black Church, with Saint Katharina as its patron. In 1241, a Tatar invasion took place, during which the fortress of Sprengi was conquered, the beginnings of which are unknown. After the retreat of the Tatars, a hexagonal tower was built at the gate for defense. The fortress was destroyed 2 centuries later by the Turkish invaders. In 1323, the Dominican monastery was founded in Brasov, and in 1364, Brasov received the privilege for the annual fair, followed by the stage and warehouse privilege from 1369. In 1395, Mircea the Elder and Sigismund of Luxembourg signed a treaty of alliance against the Ottoman power. 2 years later, the King of Hungary issues an act that gives Brasov the right to build stone fortifications, closely following their construction. Following the invasion of the Turks between 1421 and 1438, they acquired the fortress on Tampa by treaty. Brasov furriers created their first status among the guilds in 1424. In 1798 there were 1,227 craftsmen in Brasov organized in 43 guilds. The most famous guilds were those of blacksmiths, furriers, postmen, undertakers, belters, shoemakers, knife makers, skinners, butchers, goldsmiths, tinsmiths, coppersmiths, breadsmiths, potters, locksmiths, weavers, armorers, archers, hatters, woolmakers, silversmiths. In 1448, John of Hedidora redeems and orders the destruction of the Brasovia fortress on the Tampei saddle, its stone and construction materials being used to strengthen the medieval fortress of Brasov in the valley, with 8 bastions arranged 100 by 100 meters, 5 fortified gates, and 32 defense towers. The fortress had 2 or even 3 rows of walls, and was surrounded by a defensive moat filled with water. In 1477 the Black Church was finished. Due to the lack of funds, the second tower of the church will never be built again. In 1524, Setatuya, a strong fortress on Cetacei Hill, was built in wood. Soon, it will be conquered and destroyed by order of Petru Reyers, who laid the foundations of the current stone building. Burnt down in 1618, it would be rebuilt in 1625, adding an 81 meters deep well in 1627 and 4 bastions at the corners in 1630. It later served as a garrison for the Habsburg armies and a prison from the 1940s to the 1950s. On October 4, 1599, Mihai the Brave entered Brasov, where he united his army with the revolted secular troops. The following day the voivode receives the key to the city. After the conquest of Transylvania, he will hold the first diet in the council house.
De ce?
Thank you for support and appreciation. Don't forget to like and subscribe.